The views and opinions expressed in this segment of Good Morning SKN are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the management and staff of Good Morning SKN in Studio 327A. If you are just joining us, today is a special edition of Good Morning SKN, and we are talking about youth in politics with youth representatives Delwayne Delaney, PRO of the People's Action Movement, PAM, Tawanna Wigley, acting chair of the Young Pamites, Azard Gumbs, deputy chair of the People's Action Movement, and Kamilah Morris, member of the People's Action Movement. So, here it is. Over the weekend, we conducted a rapid survey with youth between the ages of 18 to 25 to get their take on youth in politics. And we have some of the results, which we're going to invite you to comment on. So of the people who took the survey, 69% of them were 18 to 24, and 31% of them were 25 to 35 years in age. Gender, distributed 60-40 roughly, 60 females, 40 males. And when it came to whether they were registered or not, we see that an overwhelming number of them were in fact registered. 87% of them were registered, 13% not. And the first key question we asked is, how likely are you to vote in the upcoming elections? 32% said that they were very likely to vote. 24% said that they were likely, so that's roughly 56% who were likely to vote. And then you can see how it turns on the other end. 24% unlikely, which means that they perhaps could be more easily swayed, and 19% very unlikely. When you see things like that, what is your take on that?
I think that it means that the message should be out there more, and I think that it is upon us and our party to push the message and the inclusion of young people, because we want more people not only listening to the message but voting on the issues. Many times we don't find a lot of persons voting, even though when it comes to winning the election, it's your vote that really wins an election.
Okay, so you vote on the issues, but then you see the issues aren't dealt with. How do you win someone back after they've gone through that phase and see what they see?
Well, through encouragement, we realize that politics is dynamic, it's ever-changing. We would not have thought that we'll have been here gearing up for another general election just 2 years after. And so some of the promises that would have been made would not have been kept because of the short time.
Okay.
And so we have to understand the dynamics in which politics surrounds itself.
Yeah, I did. We have some more information for you on the survey as well. So we asked the participants where they get their information from in politics, and we see that 21% of them receive information from radio, 27% from social media, that includes Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. Word of mouth, which is pretty close to radio, believe it or not, 19%. Political campaigns, 16%. I don't know what that means to you, but I'm certain you will tell me that in a little bit. 16% get their information from political campaigns, 9% from television, and 8% from other sources, which I suspect would be things like newspapers, etc. So when you see that, how alarming is it? And let's say, is that an incubator for misinformation to be spread when we see that 19% of people receive their information from word of mouth, as compared with, for instance, 16% who receive information from political campaigns?
Yes, I mean, when you see statistics like that as it relates to word of mouth, we know that misinformation is readily available in that regard. So we need to ensure that our political campaigns are on the higher side as it relates to our messaging, as well as our social media platforms, which I think the People's Action Movement is the lead, if we are to take as to what is going on the social media handles, and so that we ensure that our messaging is an accurate one as it relates to what the People's Action Movement stands for.
All right, so since you have the opportunity, and you made that point about messaging and what the People's Action Movement stands for, let us know.
So from a youth standpoint, of course, we want to ensure that it is one of inclusion. We want to ensure that the youth within St. Kitts and Nevis by extension, understand that PAM is about innovating the way that we're about doing things. We want to empower the youths as well, whether it through means whatever their livelihoods may fall, whether it be from a business standpoint, small business standpoint, whether it be from an educational standpoint, whether it be from housing, land, whatever the empowerment is. We want to ensure that the youth not only have a voice, but that voice is heard and acted upon as well.
And if I might add, our motto is putting people first. Just you just simply put it out there. We focus on people. We are people driven. The name is People's Action Movement. I mean, come on, we've been around for a long time, and that has always been our focus, and we continue, and we want that to remain our focus.
Well, that's a solid point indeed. All right, so we have some additional information for you. Delwayne, I don't know, you got a preview of this or what? You mentioned some of the issues here. We're looking at the issues that are most important to youth during the election cycle. And I'll take it, educational opportunities, ties with land and housing opportunities at 12%, employment and job creation opportunities, 14% of respondents said they were important. Affordable and accessible healthcare, I guess, because we're coming off of a pandemic, rather, it would be important to a lot of people. But not only because of that, development of the education system. And if I can expound on that for a little bit, the respondent said that speaks to things like the improvement in infrastructure, better sporting and recreational facilities, better cafeterias, and we're looking at things like greater access to computers and tablets. So your feedback on that?
Well, I would say that I think the concerns are valid. I think the percentage wise go to speak to the audience because, as you said, as we've seen, majority of them were under the age of 35, and persons on the age of 35, the younger population, well, I think it was 24 to 35, was it?
18 to 35 altogether.
18 to 35
yes.
altogether, 18 to 24, and then 24 to 35.
25 to 35,
So
yes.
between 18 and 24, young people are looking for educational opportunities to go to school. They're looking for opportunities where they can, further themselves through scholarships and job creation. As you go up, you're looking for land and house because you're back and you're settled. So I think that is the reason why we see the percentage. Not saying that all of them aren't important, but it's at what phase in your life do these things become relevant.
And to people who are looking to your political party to ensure that what they consider, as important issues will in fact be dealt with and handled in a way that's favorable to them, what would you say?
Creating a board or a team to make sure that these are enforced. Not just that these promises are, just said and only said, that we're trying to reinforce them as well.
As Kamilah said, with the board, what we are trying to do as part of the youth agenda is have a national youth council. We have the Youth Parliament Association, which has served a purpose like a youth council, but not the exact thing as a youth council. So we are hoping that as part of the youth agenda, we have a national youth council that represents persons from across the constituencies, the 11 constituencies, between the ages of 15 to 29, and those persons will be elected and push the youth agenda.
So what is the deadline for the board to be created?
There's no deadline.
No
We're
deadline.
hoping that upon election and upon assuming office, being successful at the general election, that would start in the Ministry of Youth. It has already begun in the sense that there's a youth policy that was formed under the Honorable Sean K. Richards. From the youth policy, we're trying to ensure that it is carved into a national youth council. From there, we realized we had COVID-19 for 2 years, so it would have been at a standstill.
So we understand that we've seen a lot of politicians promise things and they weren't able to keep the promises, whether it's due to, the lack of short time or, whatever the circumstances are. We as young people need to see more follow through. We need somebody who is behind them to say this is not getting done, or maybe they can branch out and we can micromanage certain aspects of it to make sure that the job is done and that we meet our mandates.
Well, I can see the head shaking, so there's definitely consensus. I suspect that there will be a movement in that direction.
I certainly saw some national favor in our last segment. And just like that, we are at the final part of our special edition of Youth in Politics here on Good Morning SKN. Our guests today are Delwayne Delaney, the PRO of the People's Action Movement, Tawanna Wigley, acting chair of the Young Pamites, Azard Gumbs, the deputy chair of the People's Action Movement, and Kamilah Morris, member of the People's Action Movement. So as we discussed before, one answer.
One word.
One word. Oh,
Answer.
one word. But here, one word answer question. So one answer.
Oh, okay.
Yes. She's correct. Team K.
No. Yeah. Recount.
So would you rather vote for a female or male?
Female.
Oh, good stuff.
Okay, I love the
you.
way that we're doing this. We're flashing it. Here's the second question. Do you think that the politicians in St. Kitts and Nevis should engage in public debates?
Yes.
Love it. Should nationals vote on the issues of family voting history?
All right. This one's a little slower in coming, I can see that.
They really shouldn't.
No.
But if they're voting for the People's Action Movement,
I like that.
I like that you didn't complete that one, so we don't know what you were going to say. All right, so number 4. Should an individual vote out of loyalty for the same party for his entire life?
No.
Okay. I like that.
So there are our one-word answers.
Yeah.
Great responses from each of you. Yeah, we got right to the instincts on that.
Yes.
All right, so we're moving on now, and I'm going to say to you, youth, one person of your choice can elaborate on any of the topics that we just asked you about. So who will it be? And what would you talk about?
Tawanna, you want to talk about the policy versus tradition, family history?
Well, the reason I said no to the question is that when we were in school, we taught about the floating voter. You don't have to stick to a party because of loyalty, because if the policies don't align with what you want or what is best for the country, the motto is country above self.
Yep.
So if it doesn't align, you would have to make changes. You can't just say, I'm a diehard this, I'm a diehard that, and stay there. And it's detrimental to not only yourself and the country in general. I think that's the best way to put it. You have to be voting on the policies that are best for the country.
Kamilah answered the question about would you vote for a male or female, so I guess you could expound on that.
Expound.
Of course, in this modern age, we're looking at female empowerment. We're moving away from where, men took all the responsibilities and roles. Women are more than capable to lead. We're leading households. I don't being a mother myself. It's managing a business. We're able and capable of leading.
We are.
Delwayne, next question for
Which
you.
was
I'm going to ask you again. I'm looking back at it. Do you think politicians in St. Kitts and Nevis should engage in public debates?
public space.
Public debates.
Debate.
Public debates.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. I think so. Oftentimes we need to hear the issues. We need to hear that face-off type of thing where we can see who is best suited on issues and policies as it relates to their particular party. I think it allows for viewers to really understand and get an in-depth understanding as to what they stand for as individuals, as politicians, as well as the parties they represent. So again, I think it's definitely something that we can explore in the future.
What the final question
I
was?
think Tawanna answered it when she talked about the floating voter concept. The question dealt with whether one should vote for a particular party for his or her entire life.
Yeah.
So you definitely touched on that one, Tawanna. All right, so we want to give you the opportunity now to let us know what your personal mission is for choosing to be involved in politics the way that you have been.
Okay, for me, it's about people. It's about people. And my involvement in politics came about where persons would have reached or leaned on me to say, hey, Delwayne, why not? Why not? You have been doing so much in the community, you have helped so many persons, why not take that step and assist even at a greater length? So for me, it's about people, seeing people grow, seeing people develop. I love helping people. persons would approach me and say, hey, make sure you get this out of it, make sure you get... I say, it was never that. It was never about that, and it will never be about that for me. Once I'm happy, once I'm comfortable in my own space and my kids are taken care of, I mean, that's all to it for me. And one author said that if you're not serving people, then you're not living your purpose in life. We were born to serve people, not to enrich ourselves, but to serve people. And for me, that's all it boils down to, serving people.
Okay, now my question to you is, I know the portfolios are normally handed out by the Prime Minister, but if you were to, let me phrase it this way, what would be your preferred portfolio? Minister of what?
Come on. It has to be sports. It has to be sports. It has to be sports, and I'm because I've been with the Small Business Development Center for over 14 years or thereabout. I think a bit of small business entrepreneurship has to be in there as well. I understand the common person as it relates to small businesses, the struggles, what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. So that coupled with the Ministry of Sports, I think will be up my alleyway.
See, I just didn't want to put it on you. I don't know what you would prefer.
Well, you got the answer. You got the answer.
She got the answer.
All right. So we want to know what ways you have succeeded in doing or you are planning to raise youth awareness and involvement in politics.
Well, we could say as early as a Saturday of this week, we are going to be hosting a youth forum where we are going to be presenting the youth agenda to the youth of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We're going to ask for their feedback in ways in which we could help them. And we're going to have also in attendance our political leader, the next Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Sean Richards. We're going to have John L. Powell there as well, and Natasha Gray Brooks there as well. So that is one start already.
All right, I'm not going to let you go without trying to tease a little information out of you concerning what's on that agenda. What can you tell us?
Well, we brought the agenda. We distribute it in different headings. We have civic involvement. We have ITC. We have agriculture and fisheries. We have music, the arts, sports as well. A holistic agenda, ITC. We want to ensure that young people do get the best from their representatives and from the People's Action Movement going forward.
And not one of my favorite and pushed is youth health and well-being.
Okay.
Yes, that is a part of the agenda as well.
Yes.
All right, it's good to know.
Because we need healthy youths to run the country, right?
That's correct.
Right, they were in agreement with you. Maybe you should join.
And of course, on that note, we want to welcome you. Well, invite you, Jamie, and also
Hortensia.
Cartencia.
Team K.
Team K. Yes, we want to invite both of you to be a part of the People's Action Movement. We are a party that includes everyone. You know,
We welcome all.
I love it.
yes,
And well, I guess the viewers caught that as well. So thank you for inviting us. You're inviting everyone. All right, so to close this morning's special edition of Youth and Politics and Good Morning SKN, we want to give each of you, our panelists, a few moments to share your final thoughts on youth and politics. Tawanna, I'll start with you.
No, I'm going first. Well, just to share, like I was saying before, we have to focus on inclusivity. The youths, they have a voice. The voice is powerful. We are no longer sitting back and not going after what we want. We are driven people. We are passionate about what we want to do. And the best way for that to happen is to have youth in politics.
All right, and the last word with our final 30 seconds, Kamilah, goes to you.
I want to encourage our young people not to be afraid to speak out and stand up for what you want. We are, our needs are important. You shouldn't feel that going forward, we shouldn't feel that we would be victimized. It's all inclusive and we are non-biased.
Thank you to the representatives of the PAM for joining us on this special edition of Good Morning SKN. It has been engaging and enlightening and fun as well, despite us seeing some signs of cheating. But thank you. Thank you very
so
much.
much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Feel free to come back anytime.
Sure.
We will.
Yeah, Friday.